the data center build-out facing growing backlash across America. One Virginia county says the industry is bringing more than $1 billion in economic benefits. Darren Patello is live in Loudoun County with more. Hey, Darren.
Hi, Dagan. Back in your home state of Virginia, it's quite toasty out here, so I wish I could jump in the splash pad over there. This is part of the $100 million facility, 117,000 square feet, basically paid for by tax money from data centers here in Loudoun County. I mentioned one of the amenities here, it keeps going, more pools, a gym, weightlifting area, hydro massage chairs, to name a few of those amenities, with fees only costing residents $45 a month to use the facility resources. Loudoun County, Virginia, as you know, is known as the data center capital of the world, but keep in mind here, the data centers only take up about 3% of the land here, generating about $1.2 billion in local tax revenue this year, or 45% of the county's total. The godfather of data centers, Buddy Reiser, the county's executive director for economic development, tells Fox the industry helped build facilities, lower the tax burden on homeowners, fund schools, roads, and public services.
Each community is different, and each community needs to define their own opportunity. They need to, look at their land use and look at their infrastructure and decide if they want data centers. What I can tell you is that there is no other asset class that will deliver tax revenue in the same way that data centers do.
All right, and Dagan, every resident here in Loudoun County and other parts of the country, they aren't exactly jumping for joy over these data centers and oppose them because of the noise, water use, the space taken up by transmission lines, and the county's growing reliance on these data centers for the revenue. In case you're wondering, there are about 250 data centers across this county, with 100 more in the pipeline. President Trump made the case yesterday for these data centers, saying if you don't take them, other counties will. Dagan.
Derek, can I ask you a quick question? And you
Sure.
just tell me to shut up if you don't know. Okay, they cut taxes, though, for the residents in Loudoun County, because that's really a giant pool that's inexpensive to splash around in is awesome, but I just like lower property taxes.
Of course, and looking into it and other ways to possibly save, and it is generating money, and all these data centers, they are collectively generating money, so something they keep looking into to benefit the residents here.
Thank you so much, Darren Patello. Great to see you. Who wants in? The issue, I brought this up last hour. Big tech has spent 25 years alienating everyone, and now they need something that they can't just acquire sitting in San Jose, California.
So I think I have a data point I got to verify, but I do believe I read that there was a 30% cut in property taxes that were in Loudoun County as a result of this. So there are economic benefits that are accruing down to the individual level.
That's how you sell it to the people.
Correct. And that's like we had our impassioned Italian discussion in the first hour, right, where we disagreed, and now I've settled down so we can have a very articulate debate about this, and I agree with you 100%. It's communication. How do you sell this? You have to sell the benefits, not the fear, and it reminds me so much of when cell towers were coming out and 5G back in 2019, where everyone wanted 5 bars of coverage, but they didn't want the cell tower in their backyard. You have the same set of fears playing into consumers' mind. Is there negative consequences from a health standpoint, from an environmental standpoint, from a cost and just utility? So I think this is all about the communication, the messaging, and then making it tangible. My fear is it's too late to do it before the midterms. This becomes a huge issue in the midterms that Democrats can rally on and point to and say, this is what Republicans and big tech wants to do. They're not out for you. They're out for just putting data centers everywhere you go.
But what's ironic about that is that, for instance, Pennsylvania, purple state with a blue governor, Shapiro, right? So a lot of residents in that state, the majority don't support the expansion of these data centers, but they don't seem to have a problem with the current governor. Shapiro has a great approval rating. There's a lot of Democratic governors who, under their watch, there have been data centers that have been constructed, and voters don't seem to correlate those two things. It doesn't seem to extend to a political liability when it comes to voting. The other thing is, we're talking about a manufacturing comeback. This is a boon for construction jobs. This is surging demand for blue collar workers. I mean, that's one of the big, pinnacles of the Trump administration is the manufacturing sector. So I think this is a great way to promote that, and also debunking the myths. I know that doesn't sound sexy to the average person. Here's why all these things that you've been told are reason to fear AI data centers are wrong, but the idea that they consume vast amounts of water. Of course, any industrial facility does, but there's this data I found that, all of the country's golf courses use more water than some of the data centers, technically speaking. And then as far as blue collar workers, according to the Wall Street Journal, electricians and the like are often earning roughly 25% more working on data centers than in their former jobs. So this is translating to income growth for that sector as well. And as far as geopolitics, I don't think that is compelling to people saying, oh, we need to compete with China on the international stage. I think that's really important. I think the AI race is of supreme importance. But I think talking about the tangible economic impact in your household.
But why is it us doing the talking and the tech CEOs are not the ones selling it? I've been on here on this show since the beginning of last year, and I've among all of us, a champion of artificial intelligence and what will come out of it. Has one of those jackasses come on this show? Or has any PR person from any of those companies offered to put anybody on this show? Nope. So where are they? I'm done trying to sell this to people. It's up to them. Stop moralizing from your high tower in the valley. And you start talking to people. And if you don't know how to and make eye contact with them, then get some training.
You're asking Mark Zuckerberg to do that?
No, it's not just him.
I agree. No, I agree. It's universal.
It's the
problem.
whole
It's not
industry.
self-evident. It is not a self-evident case why these eyesores and these,
Right.
industrial abominations are in your neighborhood. And
It's not. I am
get it.
pro AI, but data centers need land, power, and connectivity, and that we are a nation that has more land than we know what to do with. We dominate in energy production, and we are the hub of the internet. We are a natural fit for the growth in AI and the data centers that are required to do that. But they got to message it better than this.
And my concern is this. The same way there were a lot of myths around energy usage and energy means of production that didn't necessarily turn out to be true. How much of this is true versus not true? And I don't know the answer to that, but that is the technology companies' burden to come to people with studies and data showing that what your fears are about the water or the massive electricity use is not going to actually come to fruition. They do have that responsibility